Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Friday, February 25th, 2022 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I take my time to align with the divine. You're welcome for all the rhyme. I'm 5. All right, so what are we looking at today energy-wise? Well, we've got some interesting astro energy. So we have Mars and Venus still hanging out pretty close together in Capricorn, and actually working now with Vesta. Today we have Mars and Vesta conjunct, working together. And I don't necessarily always go into the asteroids unless they're holding a very interesting place. And I think this placement is important. Vesta is the goddess of the hearth and home. And when I think about Vesta as an asteroid and what it can represent, besides home matters, to me it represents the divine light within us, recognizing the sacred within us, recognizing ourselves as the temple. And so as we have Vesta and Mars and Venus all hanging out together, specifically Vesta and Mars today conjunct, it's taking sacred action. And so again, taking the time to align with the divine. Mars right now is being impacted, actually, very interestingly, by Venus and Vesta. So there is this call to sacred, aligned, divine action at this time. That is our responsibility, if you will. Now, we also have Mars, and then later tomorrow, Venus, coming into a square with Eris. Again, I don't talk about Eris too much. I really like to utilize Eris when it's like exact. I feel like the smaller planets and or asteroids, it's better, or farther away and or smaller, it's better to use a smaller orb. Like they really impact us when it's exact. Somebody messaged me like, why didn't I talk about Eris with the full moon? Didn't feel aligned, but this feels aligned. Mars squared Eris, especially if we look at what's happening in the world. Eris, goddess of chaos and discord. Eris is currently in Aries, and so with Eris and Aries, as well as Chiron and Aries, as well as Pallas and Aries. Pallas representing patriarchal energy, Chiron representing opportunities for healing, Chiron the wounded healer. Eris in Aries, which it has been for a really long time. Let me just say that Eris takes a really long time to move. Like any of you listening to this, we all have Eris and Aries. So Eris has been in Aries for a very long time. So with Eris and Aries, in a square with Mars, let's talk about in the square with Mars before we go into it in another layer. Mars, god of war energy. Mars is clearly being activated right now. And I think it's important for each of us to be very aware what we're saying and not contribute to the fear waves. And so that's my work in this, is how do I bring it back to the self? How do I bring it back to an empowered place? We're all learning empowerment, right? So Mars square Eris. We may be feeling very contentious due to what's happening in the world. And there's a lot of people like, oh, if only the rulers would do this, or if only these people would do this, or blah, blah, that, and we get frustrated and we get upset. And we focus all that attention outward. Aries reminds us to bring it back to who we are. Aries brings it back to my I am. Eris and Aries is like, all right, there is discord out there, sure, whatever. It is out there. It's not sure, whatever. It is out there, yes. However, it is also in here. We are all carrying discord and chaos that flares up, especially when our egos get played with, poked, tickled, exposed, right? Eris and Aries, Chiron and Aries, Pallas and Aries. When it comes to ego, the two signs I most look at, although everybody has an ego, the two signs I most look at is Aries and Leo. I feel like those are the places where the ego is most likely to flare. And this is where we can do some work. Recognizing when we are acting from the discord in place, the chaos place, because our ego has been, feels disrespected, right? How can we then respect ourselves and show up in personal responsibility? How can we respect ourselves and show up in alignment with the divine? And again, right now, Eris is definitely being triggered, right? Between this square. There's a challenge there for sure. And we all may be feeling that. Yes, we're feeling this discord, right? Like the world it's scary. This is what almost none of us want. I can't say none of us because some people's wounds, live for this. Some people's wounded egos live for this, right? However, most of us do not want this, and we are uncomfortable in these feelings. Rooting in the divine, trusting in the divine plan, addressing our own discord in and through this, addressing the wars we are still raging in ourselves, with the divine, with others. This is one way that we can shift the vibration, that we can shift the tides. Nothing is set in stone. There are a lot of different timelines that can come about, and all we each can do is the very best, our very best. I feel like, especially as Venus, it's funny that Lilith came out, Venus and Vesta connect to this Eris energy. How do we take this discord and utilize the power of the sacred flame within? How do we take this discord and take our responsibility to soul and utilize that responsibility to soul to shift our energies, right? And this is where the focus needs to be, not bringing more fear waves. The Pluto energy is very strong. The Pluto energy is going to continue to be strong. And it has so many lessons for us, but one of them is empowerment. And going and moving into the energy of the chaos and the discord and the ego, that's never going to be the empowerment. Moving in alignment with soul, finding that grounding. And let me be fair, it's hard sometimes. It's not easy. It's not overnight, and it's not constant. Even, not for me, for sure. I'm constantly working with this energy and constantly feeling the soul shakes, and then how do I move myself through this? Okay, so besides this energy, which again has some challenge to it, and we're going to be feeling it, like I said, through the day, because first we have Vesta squaring Eris, then Mars, and then Venus. We have all these squares where we are sure to feel that discord energy. And then the moon is moving into Capricorn. So the moon's going to come through and be like, let me remind you of what's going on. So Moon in Capricorn, emotional responsibility, right? Emotional responsibility. How can I be as responsible with my emotions? How can I be responsible, again, to my soul? Now, it's so interesting. These cards I shuffle these cards. I use these cards. These cards have come out so many times this week. And I believe them, right? Beyond illusions being exposed in the world. I really do not personally love the media because I think that they are one of the biggest proponents of illusion. I think our soul knows what it needs to know. That being said, do what you will, right? But not getting caught up in illusions, really listening to personal truth, and finding a way, trust. We had our big 2 thing this week. 2 trust and faith, hope and faith, recognizing Jupiter in Pisces, Neptune at 22 degrees right now in Pisces, which brings up something else. We'll talk about it for a minute. That Neptune energy, mastering the alignment with the divine, mastering the knowledge that there is a divine plan unfolding, even if we think that there are players who are doing the wrong things, right? I love the possibilities card. There are multiple timelines. There are multiple possibilities. Nothing is inevitable. And there's multiple ways the astro itself can unfold and play. And we all impact this, right? It's interesting. I have the receptivity card in reverse. Receptivity in reverse. Maybe we want to kind of like shut down again, taking in some of this information. Maybe not be so open. Really kind of connect in to ourselves, our own personal energy field, and move from that place. Because again, the fear waves are strong right now. I would like to create prayer waves and healing waves and light waves rather than fear waves. So I don't want to go into this too much because this is not what my station's about, but the Putin chart. I posted Putin's chart and I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. What was really interesting to me is that Putin is currently being yachted. His Pluto, interestingly enough, is currently being yachted. His Pluto in Leo is currently being yachted. You're like, what does this mean? I feel like I need a freer format to do this. I may actually do a video and put it on my Patreon because I feel very uncomfortable putting this on my wide out there YouTube channel because having opinions can get you shut down these days, and this is my livelihood. So I will say there's the Yod. His chart is online. You can go look at it if you are astro knowledgeable, but I think this weekend I'm going to try to make a video and put it on my Patreon. So I'm going to leave that there for now. I will say there are a lot of leaders acting from ego and saying, you know, it's coming from another place, but that's all in us. And I think I addressed that. We all have ego to address in and through this. And so as we want our leaders to tap into higher consciousness, one of the best things we can do is recognize where our egos feel that way and work to see where we can shift that energy as individuals. So leaving that there for today. Is that all? Did I do the whole astro? Because the heat comes on. I actually didn't address one lovely connection, the connection between the sun and the moon. Moon in Capricorn, sun in Pisces. And again, the responsibility to the divine. It goes hand in hand with everything I was saying, but it's just kind of doubling down on that. We have that ability right now, and the world's like, come on, humans, you got this. So you can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. If you're interested in my Patreon, the link is down below. Besides all this, the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power. We all have the power. And honor your values. Namaste.